Yes.
Wonderful.
Just it.
I think we're rolling. Awesome. So hi, welcome back to Devoxx. This is Devoxx 2013, and I'm here with Nick to talk about Android
Hi.
from a design perspective. Is that the right word, design?
Yeah, absolutely. Like what it is to be an Android app, how you design an Android app to kind of look as well as like work like you expect an Android app to be.
So UX is the work part, and the rest is taste and colors. Are you saying there's one way to build apps only?
No, I'd say there's many ways you can build an app, but I'd say there's certain things you can do to make your app work like an Android app is expected to work, so that your users will know how to use it and they'll know how to navigate around the content within it. The look and feel, the aesthetic qualities like colors, certain interaction patterns, those can be customized like to bring your own personality to your application. So if you look at a variety of applications out there, look at something like the Expedia app to the Google Play Music application.
They're quite
to
different.
Like the alarm clock application. Like they look very, very different.
Yes.
They all have their own feel to them, but they follow certain rules, certain interaction patterns, certain touch target, certain presentation themes, which means that when a user picks it up, they'll know how to use it.
Right, so that's absolutely key. So I'm an Android developer. Should I also be the designer? Does that even make sense?
If you want to do both, if you can do both, then awesome. Like more power to you. I enjoy doing both. It depends really. Like if you're working on a big project and you can have a dedicated design resource, that's awesome. And I think a lot of the most polished applications are like that. If you're a one-man band who is just kind of like a developer interested in design, then hopefully there's a lot of resources we're putting out there that you can get up to speed. So things like the Android design guidelines, which have been around for about a year now and have kind of progressively got more and more.
So you're actually upgrading those with the releases of Android, right?
Right. With each release and as each new pattern, so every now and then, such as when the navigation drawer gained popularity, we started documenting it and saying we think this is the best way you can use this pattern. Added that to the design site, as well as the show that I do once a month or so called Android Design in Action, which is all about how to design for Android. So hopefully we're putting the resources out there that if you're a developer who's interested in design, that you can get up to speed.
So how hard is it to start? I mean, there's the Android design guidelines. Do you need to read all of it and implement all of it, or you have it all wrong, or is there a way like you don't have like too high of a bar to start with?
Yeah, my favorite thing about the Android design guidelines is how short they are. Like it's not a massive tome of human interface guidelines written in very dry language that is a hardship to get through. You can actually read the entire site in about half an hour, 45 minutes. It's not a huge amount of content. So I would recommend, read it. Like this is the basis of what it is to be an Android application, like how you should operate. So I'd say it's a great start to read that, and then go from there. So then go from, to there's a flourishing community of people out there talking about Android design. So particularly on Google+, which is where I see most of the chatter happening, as well as other places like Dribble and other places. I think Android design conversation is really picking up.
So what kind of reward can a developer expect from actually having followed those guidelines, spend the time actually designing this, maybe on the Play Store with users and interacting with them? Does that actually make a difference? Can you actually see changes and apps that have gone from default design to something where it's more
Oh, absolutely, thoroughly. Like one case study that comes to mind is Pocket, the kind of read it later application. They did an exercise where users were misunderstanding their archive feature, and they changed the user interface to kind of follow our up paradigm, where you have the button in the top left to take you up within the app, and they changed archive to an action on the right, which is where users are expecting it. And they saw some crazy increase, like 700% more use of the feature or more understanding of the feature. So there is definitely a lot of benefit to an individual app. The overall goal of following the Android design is hopefully a better application, right? So the process of going through and thinking about your design and improving it, and standing on the shoulders of all the hard work gone into the Android design patterns should make your application better. So we do see a lot of comments and feedback from users, like that apps which are nicely designed tend to have a higher rating.
Absolutely.
As well as on the Google Play Store, there's obviously things like the top lists, as well as things like Editor's Choice, or even there's a collection of applications called the Beautiful Design application list, or collection, I guess. So you can't get into those kind of things without having,
right, and they should be good
quality.
Inspiration. If you look at those, if they got there, probably if you could do something similar. You
Yeah,
can
if you're looking for inspiration, go to the Beautiful Design collection. Just Google for Android, Google Play, Beautiful Design, and you'll get this collection. And these are some of the applications that Google Play recognizes as some of the best in class.
Good. So we've just released Android 4.4 KitKat.
Right.
Does that change anything to the design guidelines?
KitKat, for me, is a maturing of the design guidelines. So I think...
but that means a small change still,
yeah,
right?
exactly. I don't think we've radically changed direction, but we've refined all over the place. It's all about polishing. It's all about delivering a better experience. So color, like we touched on earlier on, we've backed away from having these kind of very, very strong accent colors. So by default, the user interface used to use a lot of this kind of like, blue that was this kind of like jolt of contrast in your application. And it didn't particularly leave a lot of room for your app to have its own personality, because if your color was like, your branding was red, for example, you have all these like blue stock controls in there, it can be quite clashing, really.
I see.
So what we've tried to do with the OS is back that away. So by default, you'll get more of a neutral experience. But the reason is to leave room for apps to innovate. So an app can then express its own personality. It can then customize on top of that. So things like that, I think, is showing a maturing of the platform. So the platform is kind of getting out the way to let the apps really shine.
Great, and then would you recommend people actually changing anything at this point for KitKat specifically, or is it just more choice for those that and more way to express themselves if needed?
Yeah, well, there are some other features as well which I'm quite excited about. So one thing I'm really excited about for designers is the new immersive modes.
Yeah.
So you now get access to the entire screen. So if you have these on-screen buttons, you can now draw behind them or hide them temporarily or persistently. So that unleashes a whole new kind of interaction mode. So I think if you look at Google Play Books, for example, which does a beautiful job of like hiding all the system chrome and getting out of the way and like really focusing on the experience of reading, and then coming back and making it really, really easy to navigate again when you need to. I think those are the kind of opportunities that KitKat provides for designers and developers to kind of have a really rich interface.
Okay, cool. So before we close, I have an app on the Play Store. It's doing okay. I have a 3.x something rating, which is not bad, but I want to improve that. Design guidelines is where I go. Is there this one trick? Give me that one flip to switch to get a better design.
Okay, so I would say the one thing you can really do is focus on your information hierarchy. I think the one thing that people, I know as a, coming from a development background, I'm really excited to dive into app and create it and like use the latest, buttons and libraries and so on. But I think the biggest benefit you can get in designing is to really think about the information hierarchy and use that to create your navigation so that it makes the app easier to navigate around. I think the kind of the visual stuff can add a lot on top, but if the fundamental kind of information hierarchy isn't there, then you need to start from the beginning. So I'd say, yeah, look at information hierarchy and then look at our navigation and interaction patterns and use that. And then once you're kind of there, then apply the visual stuff. And one top tip, one thing that really bugs me with applications is touch feedback. Just make sure you do that properly as well. It's like the simplest thing, but if an application doesn't respond when I touch it, then it feels slow, it feels laggy, it feels buggy. So that's my one top tip for something you should be doing. Second top tip, two top tips, is use Google Play's beta functionality as well. So if you're playing with this stuff, it's a great opportunity to use the beta testing functionality.
Do you want to remind what that is?
Yeah, exactly. So you can create a community or a Google Groups mailing list and have people opt in to say, hey, I've got a higher aptitude for risk. I'd like to play the latest, shiniest features before people and give you more feedback without the expectation of it being, a stable production release. So if you're doing these kind of refinements, you can like push them to a smaller, slightly more kind of a less risk-averse kind of group and get feedback from them quite quickly without having to distribute to like all your hundreds of thousands of millions of users.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for the tips.
Cool.
And the Android design guidelines on the Android.
No, thanks. It was a pleasure. Yeah, check out the Android design guidelines at developer.android.com/design and follow Android Design in Action at androiddesigninAction.com.
All right, do it. Thank you.
Awesome.